The stars had never looked so beautiful to Admiral Park Ji-soo. She stood on the observation deck of her flagship, the Dawn of Unity, and watched as the massive space station grew larger in the viewport. This was Concordia Prime, the heart of galactic civilization, home to the greatest alliance of species the universe had ever known. Today, humanity would join that alliance. Ji-soo was 53 years old. She had spent 30 of those years in the military, working her way up from a simple pilot to the commander of Earth's third exploratory fleet. She had seen many wonders in her time among the stars, but nothing compared to this moment. Behind her, the delegation was preparing for arrival. Ambassador Yoon Hana was reviewing her speech for the 10th time. Captain Baek Do-hyun was checking the uniforms of his honor guard, making sure every button was perfect. Scientists, diplomats, and cultural representatives from all 12 human colonies filled the ship's halls, their excitement almost visible in the air. 300 years ago, humanity had taken its first steps beyond Earth. Now they stood at the door of something greater than any of them had imagined. The communication screen lit up with the face of a Velthari official. The Velthari were tall beings with silver skin and 4 arms. They had founded the Galactic Concord 6,000 years ago and still led it today. Human vessel Dawn of Unity, the official said in perfect English. Welcome to Concordia Prime. We are honored to receive you. Ji-soo smiled. Thank you. We are honored to be here. The docking procedure took an hour. When the ship's doors finally opened, Ji-soo led her people into a world of light and color. Thousands of aliens lined the walkways, watching the humans with curiosity. Some looked like insects. Others looked like walking plants. A few looked almost human, but with slight differences that made them clearly alien. Ambassador Yoon stepped forward to greet the Velthari delegation. Their leader was called High Arbiter Velkan, an ancient being who had held his position for 200 years. His 4 arms spread wide in what Ji-soo assumed was a gesture of welcome. Humanity, Velkan said, his voice deep and slow. After watching your species for so long, it brings us joy to finally meet you face to face. The Galactic Concord opens its doors to you. The ceremony that followed was unlike anything the humans had experienced. There were speeches in 100 languages. There were gifts, exchange crystals from distant worlds, art from species that saw colors humans could not see, music that touched emotions humans did not know they had. For 3 days, humanity celebrated. Ji-soo spent those days in meetings with military leaders from other species. She learned about the Concord's peacekeeping forces, their patrol routes, their methods for handling disputes. Everything seemed perfect. The Concord had maintained peace for 6,000 years. No major wars, no genocide, no extinction events, just cooperation and growth. How do you do it? Ji-soo asked an Entity commander, a being that looked like a large blue bear. How do you keep so many species peaceful? The commander smiled, showing teeth that could crush stone. We understand each other. We know that cooperation is better than conflict. The strong protect the weak. The wise guide the young. This is the way of the Concord. Ji-soo believed him. She wanted to believe him. On the 4th day, everything changed. The humans were called to the Grand Assembly Hall. Ji-soo assumed it was for the final induction ceremony. She dressed in her finest uniform and led her delegation into the massive chamber. The hall was built to hold representatives from all 47 species of the Concord. Today, every seat was filled. Thousands of alien eyes watched as the humans took their places at the center of the room. High Arbiter Velkan rose from his throne. His silver skin seemed to glow under the lights. Humanity, he began, his voice filling the chamber. For 100 years, we have watched your species. We have studied your history. We have analyzed your biology, your psychology, your social patterns. Jisoo felt something cold settle in her stomach. This did not sound like an induction speech. Our analysis is complete, Vulcan continued, and we have reached a conclusion. He pressed a button on his throne. A holographic display appeared above the chamber, showing data and charts that Jisoo did not understand at first. Then she saw the words in English, translated for the human delegates. Threat classification, divergent recommendation, containment protocol 7. What is this? Ambassador Yoon demanded, stepping forward. What does this mean? Vulcan's forearms folded across his chest. It means, Ambassador, that humanity has been classified as a danger to galactic stability. Your species adapts too quickly. You breed too fast. Your aggression markers are beyond acceptable parameters. Left unchecked, you will eventually dominate or destroy every other species in the galaxy. Jisoo's hand moved toward her sidearm, but Captain B caught her wrist. Wait, he whispered. Not yet. The Concord has voted, Vulcan said. 47 species unanimous. Humanity must be contained. Contained? Ambassador Yoon's voice shook. What does that mean? Vulcan's eyes showed no emotion. It means, Ambassador, that your expansion ends today. Your colonies will be reduced. Your population will be controlled. Your technology will be limited. This is not punishment. This is prevention. This is mercy. And if we refuse? Jisoo asked, her voice steady despite the fear growing inside her. You cannot refuse, Vulcan said simply. The process has already begun. Before anyone could react, a high-pitched sound filled the chamber. Jisoo felt her body go rigid. Around her, humans collapsed like puppets with cut strings. Neural disruptors, she recognized the technology from briefings, but she had never felt it before. As darkness took her, she heard Vulcan's voice, distant and cold. When you wake, Ambassador, you will learn what has happened to your worlds. I hope you understand that this was necessary. The galaxy must be protected, even from itself. Jisoo hit the floor. The last thing she saw was Captain Beak trying to reach her, his face twisted in pain and rage before he too fell. When she woke, she was in a cell. The walls were smooth and white. There were no windows, no doors that she could see. Just herself and Ambassador Yoon, who sat in the corner with tears streaming down her face. Hannah, Jisoo said, her voice rough. What happened? How long were we out? Ambassador Yoon looked up. Her eyes were empty. 3 days, she whispered. We were unconscious for 3 days. And our people? The fleet? Ambassador Yoon shook her head slowly. Gone. All gone. While we slept, they attacked every human colony. New Sol, Nova Terra, New Bizon, all of them. Jisoo felt the world tilt around her. How many? 11 billion. Ambassador Yoon's voice cracked. 11 billion dead in 72 hours. They called it humane extinction. They destroyed the atmosphere processors first, so people would suffocate peacefully rather than burn. Jisoo sank to the floor. Her mind could not process the number. 11 billion. Every person she had ever known. Every family. Every child. Captain Beak? She asked. Missing. They say he died with the others, but they never found his body. Jisoo stared at the white wall. Somewhere deep inside her, something broke. But something else began to grow in its place. Something cold. Something hard. They think they killed us all, she said quietly. They did, Ambassador Yoon replied. Almost. A few 100 million survived in hiding. The contingency bunkers that General O built. But what can a few 100 million do against 47 species? Jisoo did not answer immediately. She was thinking about her training, about the hidden shipyards that only the highest admirals knew existed. about weapons that had never appeared on any registry. They made a mistake, she finally said. What mistake? Jisoo turned to face the ambassador. Her eyes were dry now. Her voice was steady. They thought we would accept extinction. They thought we would die quietly. They do not understand humans at all. Ambassador Yoon watched her for a long moment. What are you thinking? I am thinking, Jisoo said slowly, that somewhere out there, General Omaire is watching what happened to our worlds. And I am thinking that the Concorde just made the worst decision in their 6,000 years of history. She pressed her hand against the cell wall. They chose genocide. Now they will learn what that choice costs. Lieutenant Commander Shin Yoonji loved mornings on New Bizan. The sky turned purple at dawn, and the twin suns rose slowly over the green hills. She would stand on her balcony with a cup of tea and watch the farmers begin their work in the fields below. New Bizan was an agricultural world. 400 million people lived here, growing food for the other human colonies. It was a peaceful place, a happy place. Yoonji had requested this posting specifically because she wanted a break from the tension of frontier patrols. On this particular morning, she noticed something strange in the sky. Lights that should not be there. Ships entering the atmosphere. Her military training kicked in before her mind fully understood what she was seeing. She dropped her tea and ran inside, grabbing her communicator. Base Command, this is Lieutenant Commander Shin. I have visual on unidentified vessels entering atmosphere. Count is many, too many to count. Request immediate identification. The response came after a long pause. The voice on the other end was shaking. Lieutenant Commander, those are Concorde vessels. We just received word from Earth. The delegation at Concordia Prime has been captured. All human colonies are under attack. Under attack? Why? Unknown. They are not responding to any communication. They are simply attacking. Yoonji ran to the window. The ships were lower now. She could see their shapes clearly. They were not landing. They were positioning themselves in a pattern she recognized from tactical training. Orbital bombardment formation. Everyone get to the shelters. She screamed into her communicator. All personnel, all civilians, everyone. Get underground now. But it was already too late. The first blast hit the atmospheric processor on the northern continent. A pillar of fire rose into the purple sky. Then another blast. Then another. The processors that gave New Bizan its breathable air were being destroyed one by one. Yoonji ran through the streets, pushing people toward the emergency bunkers. Mothers carried children. Old men helped each other walk. Everyone moved with the desperate speed of animals sensing death. She made it to Bunker 7 with a group of about 200 people. The heavy doors sealed behind them. Through the cameras, she watched the sky turn black as debris filled the air. The bombardment lasted 6 hours. When it stopped, Yoonji tried to reach the surface. The doors would not open. The computer told her that the air outside was no longer safe to breathe. The atmospheric processors were all destroyed. Everyone who had not made it to a shelter was already dead. 3 million people had reached the bunkers. 3 million out of 400 million. Over the next 3 days, Yoonji listened to reports from other colonies on her emergency communicator. The story was the same everywhere. Novaterra, New Seoul, Jindo, Gangwon, all 12 colonies hit simultaneously. The Concorde forces did not land troops. They did not demand surrender. They simply destroyed the infrastructure that kept humans alive and waited for nature to do the rest. They called it humane extinction. On Earth's moon, director Kwon Tae-young watched the destruction through quantum-linked observation drones. He was one of the few humans with real-time access to what was happening across all colonies. He had served in the government for 30 years. He had seen crises before: economic collapse, civil unrest, even small conflicts with alien pirates. But nothing had prepared him for this. The numbers scrolled across his screen. 2 billion dead on Novaterra, 1 billion on New Sol, 400 million on Jindo. The count kept rising. "Director," his assistant said quietly, "General O is requesting contact." Taeyang felt a spark of hope. General O Mai had retired 5 years ago after a long and distinguished military career. But everyone knew she had not really retired. She had simply moved her work underground. He opened the communication channel. General O's face appeared on his screen. She was 70 years old, but her eyes were sharp and cold. "Taeyang," she said. "How bad is it?" 11 billion, he replied. "Maybe more. We are still counting." General O closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, they were wet with tears. But her voice remained steady. "The contingency bunkers. How many survived?" 300 million, roughly, scattered across all colonies. "But General, the atmosphere processes are gone. Without help, they will suffocate within weeks." "No, they will not." General O leaned forward. "I have spent 40 years preparing for this day. When I first met the Concord representatives, I saw something in their eyes. The way they looked at humans, like we were animals to be studied. I knew then that something was wrong. You built the contingency for this. For an attack by the Concord itself? I built the contingency for any extinction-level threat. I did not know where it would come from, but I knew it would come eventually." She pressed a button. "I am sending you coordinates. These are the locations of hidden facilities that no one in the Concord knows about. Shipyards, weapons factories, life support systems, everything we need to survive and to fight back." Taeyang stared at the data filling his screen. 17 Dreadnought-class warships, 200 smaller vessels, underground bases on moons and asteroids that have been declared uninhabitable. "You hid all of this." "I hid all of this." General O's voice hardened. "The Concord thinks they killed humanity today. They are wrong. They killed the humanity that trusted them, the humanity that believed in diplomacy and cooperation. What they left behind is something different. What do we do now? Now we survive. We rebuild. We prepare." General O looked directly into the camera. "And when we are ready, we make them pay for every single life they took." In her bunker on New Bizen, Yoonji received a strange transmission. It contained coordinates and a simple message. "This is General O Mai. If you can hear this, you are not alone. Help is coming. Stay alive. We will remember what they did, and we will answer." Yoonji gathered the survivors around her. Their faces were pale with fear and grief. Many had lost their entire families in the bombardment. "Listen to me," she said. "We are going to survive. Not just for ourselves. For everyone who died today. For the 11 billion people who trusted the Concord and were murdered for that trust." A young man spoke up. "What can we do? We are farmers and engineers. They have warships." Yoonji thought about the message from General O. She thought about the hidden facilities, the secret weapons, the years of preparation. "We will learn," she said. "We will train. We will build. And when the time comes, we will show the galaxy what happens when you try to exterminate humanity." On Concordia Prime, High Arbiter Vulcan received reports from his fleet commanders. All 12 human colonies had been pacified. Atmospheric processors destroyed. Population reduced to negligible levels. A few survivors remained in underground bunkers, but they would suffocate within weeks without help. The operation had been a complete success. The human threat has been contained. Vulcan announced to the Concord Council, "The galaxy is safe once again." The representatives of 47 species applauded. They had done the right thing. They had protected the galaxy from a dangerous species. Humanity's aggression and adaptability would no longer threaten the peaceful order of civilization. Vulcan allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. This was the 17th time in Concord history that a species had been deemed too dangerous to exist. Each time, the containment had worked. Each time, the galaxy had moved on and forgotten. Humanity would be no different. But somewhere beneath the ice of Europa, General O'Myray was already moving. Her hidden fleets were powering up. Her weapons factories were producing at full capacity. Her agents were preparing to spread across the galaxy like ghosts. The Concord had made a mistake that no amount of superior numbers could fix. They had assumed that killing most of humanity would solve the problem. They did not understand that they had only made the survivors angry. And angry humans, as the galaxy would soon learn, were the most dangerous force in the universe. General O stood before her assembled commanders. These were the men and women who had been preparing for disaster for decades. They had trained in secret. They had built in secret. They had waited in secret. Now their moment had come. They chose genocide, General O said, her voice filling the chamber. They looked at our children, our families, our hopes and dreams, and they decided we did not deserve to exist. They made that choice without warning, without negotiation, without mercy. She paused, letting the words sink in. Now we make our choice. And our choice is this. We will survive. We will rebuild. And we will teach the galaxy a lesson it will never forget. Every species that voted for our extinction will learn the cost of that vote. Every leader who ordered the strikes will face justice. Every civilization that celebrated our deaths will tremble when they hear our name. Her commanders stood in silence. Their faces showed grief, rage, and something else. Determination. The Concord thinks diplomacy is a weapon, General O continued. They use treaties and alliances to control and destroy. They believe that if they talk long enough, they can make any problem disappear. But diplomacy only works when both sides want peace. The Concord does not want peace. They want obedience. And they kill anything that refuses to obey. She raised her fist. So we will give them what they gave us. No warning. No negotiation. No mercy. Only consequences. Humanity's response to genocide will end diplomacy forever. The galaxy moved on. The Concord held memorial ceremonies, but not for the dead humans. They celebrated the preservation of galactic stability. The Velthari awarded themselves medals for handling the human problem so efficiently. History books were already being written about how the wise leaders of the Concord had prevented a future disaster. Humanity was mentioned as a lesson. A warning about what happens when a species develops too fast, breeds too quickly, and shows too much aggression. Children across 47 worlds learned about the extinct humans the same way they learned about ancient diseases. Something dangerous. Something defeated. Something forgotten. But humanity was not extinct deep beneath the surface of Europa. One of Jupiter's moons, General O'Myray had built her fortress. The ice above was thick enough to hide all heat signatures. The rock below was solid enough to absorb any vibrations. From space, Europa looked exactly as it always had. Cold, dead, empty. Below the surface, 300 million humans were preparing for war. Dr. Nam Sujin had been a weapons researcher before the genocide. Her specialty was energy shields and propulsion systems. When General O recruited her into the contingency program, she thought she was preparing for a possible war with pirates or rogue states. Now, she understood the true purpose of her work. Show me the progress. General O said during one of her inspection tours. Su-jin led the general through the massive underground laboratory. Engineers and scientists worked at hundreds of stations, analyzing captured Concorde technology and finding ways to improve it. We started by studying their shield generators, Su-jin explained. The Concorde technology is good, but it is also 6,000 years old. They have not needed to innovate because no one has challenged them. They rely on the same designs their ancestors created. She pointed to a display showing two energy signatures. The one on the left is a standard Concorde shield. The one on the right is our new design, 3 times stronger, with half the power consumption. General O nodded slowly. What about weapons? Even better progress. Su-jin smiled grimly. Their plasma cannons are powerful but slow to recharge. Our engineers developed a new type of kinetic projectile launcher. It fires dense metal slugs at 90% the speed of light. No shield in the galaxy can stop something moving that fast. And propulsion? Our ships will be faster than anything the Concorde has. Their fastest vessel takes 3 days to cross a star system. Ours will do it in 6 hours. General O placed her hand on Su-jin's shoulder. Good work, Doctor. Continue. We have much to do before we are ready. In another section of the Europa base, Commander Choi Yuna was training the new military. Every surviving human above age 16 had been drafted. There were no civilians anymore. Everyone had a role to play in humanity's survival. Yuna had been a ground forces commander before the genocide. She had trained soldiers for peacekeeping missions, for rescue operations, for the kind of small conflicts that civilized species were supposed to have died. Now she trained them for total war. Again, she shouted at a group of recruits who had failed to complete an obstacle course in the required time. The Concorde soldiers have been at peace for 1,000 years. They trained with simulators and theory. We train with pain and exhaustion. When we meet them on the battlefield, we will be faster, stronger, and harder than anything they have ever faced. A young recruit named Park Minji collapsed at the end of the course, gasping for breath. She had been a university student on New Seoul before the genocide. Her entire family had died in the bombardment. Commander, she said between breaths, why do we need ground forces? I thought we would just fight from ships. Yuna knelt beside her. Because ships can be avoided. Shields can be raised. But when human soldiers land on their worlds and walk through their streets, they will understand something that no amount of orbital bombardment can teach them. What? Fear. Yuna pulled Minji to her feet. They will understand what it feels like to be afraid. The way our children were afraid when the bombs fell. The way our families were afraid when they could not breathe. We will bring that fear to their homes, to their families, to their children. She did not sound angry. She sounded tired, sad, but determined. Is that revenge? Minji asked. No, Yuna replied. Revenge would be killing them all. We will not do that. We will never become what they are. But we will make sure they never forget. We will make sure no species ever again looks at another and thinks. We can destroy them without consequences. Specialist Kang. Ji-hoon ran the intelligence division from a small room filled with communication equipment. He had been a diplomatic translator before the genocide, fluent in dozens of alien languages. Now he used those skills to infiltrate Concorde communication. Networks. We have complete access to their military channels. He reported to General O. They do not encrypt well, because they have not needed to for thousands of years. I can tell you the location of every Concorde warship within 100 light years. What about political intelligence? Ji-hoon smiled. Even better. The Concorde is not as unified as they appear. The Valkyrie dominate everything. The other species follow because they fear being classified as threats themselves. At least 12 species secretly resent the Valkyrie's control. Can we use that? When the time is right, yes. If we can show the galaxy evidence of what the Concord really is, some species may break away. But we need to be patient. We need to wait until we are strong enough to exploit the divisions. General O nodded. Continue your work, and find out everything you can about the Concord's past. Every species they have destroyed. Every crime they have hidden. We will need that information when the time. Commies, not all of humanity's preparation was organized. Captain. Beak Do-hyun had escaped the capture at Concordia, primed by playing dead after the neural disruptors fired. When the guards came to collect the bodies, he grabbed a weapon and fought his way to an escape pod. For 5 years, he had been conducting a one-man war against the Concorde. They called him the Ghost. His ship was small and fast, stolen from a Concorde patrol that made the mistake of underestimating a single human vessel. He moved between systems like a shadow, never staying in one place long enough to be tracked. His targets were always the same. Concorde officials who had participated in the genocide decision, military commanders who had led the attacks on human colonies, anyone whose hands were stained with human blood. In 5 years, he destroyed 11 Concorde vessels and assassinated 3 high-ranking Valkyrie officials. Each time, he left the same message on local communication channels. For the 11 billion. General O did not officially sanction his actions. She worried that his attacks would alert the Concorde to humanity's survival before they were ready. But she also understood his rage. Her own daughter had died on New Bizen. Every night, she looked at her daughter's picture before she slept. Every morning, she looked at it again before she began work. Let him continue, she told Ji-hoon when he suggested they try to contact Do-hyun and bring him under control. He keeps the Concorde nervous. He makes them think there might be more survivors out there. And he gives our people hope. Hope? Yes. Hope that even one man can fight back against the entire galaxy. Hope that the Concorde is not invincible. Our people have lost everything. They need something to believe in. The Ghost gives them that. On the 5th anniversary of the genocide, General O gathered all surviving humans via secure communication links. 300 million faces appeared on screens throughout the hidden. Faces, soldiers, scientists, children, old men and women. Everyone who had survived because of luck, preparation, or the sacrifice of others. General O stood before them and spoke. 5 years ago, we trusted the galaxy. We believed that if we were peaceful, if we were friendly, if we followed the rules, we would be accepted. We were wrong. She paused. 5 years ago, the Concorde decided that humanity was too dangerous to exist. They did not ask us to change. They did not give us a chance to prove them wrong. They simply decided to kill us. 11 billion people. Mothers and fathers. Children and grandparents. Doctors and teachers and farmers and artists. All of them, gone in 72 hours. Her voice hardened. But they failed. They thought they killed us all. They thought they could erase us from the galaxy like a mistake in a book. They were wrong. We are still here. We remember every name of every person who died. We remember every world that burned. We remember every promise the Concorde made and broke. She raised her fist. Today, we send them a message. Today, they learn that humanity is not extinct. Today begins the next phase of our response. Not revenge. Revenge would be too small. What we bring is justice. What we bring is consequences. What we bring is the end of the lie that the Concorde tells itself, that they can kill without punishment, that they can destroy without response, that they can play God with the lives of entire species. She pressed a button. Across every Concorde communication channel in the galaxy, her face appeared. This message is for the Galactic Concorde, she said. You thought you killed us. You were wrong. We remember. We return. We do not forgive. Every species that voted for our genocide will answer for that vote. Every leader who ordered the attacks will face justice. Every world that celebrated our deaths will tremble. You had 6,000 years of peace. That peace is over, not because we wanted war. On Nexus Prime, the Valkyrie had built the largest shipyard in the galaxy. 3,000 vessels could be constructed simultaneously in its massive orbital facilities. For 6,000 years, this shipyard had been the source of Concord military power. It was destroyed in 11 minutes. The Valkyrie did not see the attack coming. There were no ships on their sensors, no energy signatures, no warnings of any kind. Just sudden, violent destruction. Dr. Nam Sujin had designed the weapon herself. Kinetic projectiles, each one the size of a small car, accelerated to 97% the speed of light. They had been launched from hidden platforms 3 years earlier, before General O's message to the Concorde. They had traveled through empty space, invisible and undetectable, waiting for the moment they were needed. When they hit Nexus Prime, they carried more energy than nuclear bombs. The shipyard exploded in a chain reaction that could be seen from 3 star systems away. The Valkyrie lost 60% of their fleet capacity in less than 15 minutes. Admiral Park Jisoo watched the destruction from the bridge of the dreadnought Eternal Memory. She had spent 5 years in a Concorde prison cell before Specialist. Ji-hoon's intelligence network located her and a rescue team extracted her. Now she commanded humanity's rebuilt navy. "Status report," she said calmly. Her tactical officer responded. "Nexus Prime shipyard is completely destroyed. Concorde fleet in that sector is in disarray. They are calling for reinforcements from 7 neighboring systems." "Good. That is exactly what we want." Jisoo turned to her communications officer. "Send the signal. Phase 2 begins now." Across the galaxy, human strike forces emerged from hiding. They did not engage the Concorde fleets directly. They were too few for that. Instead, they hit soft targets. Supply depots, communication relays, research stations, everything that the Concorde needed to function. The strategy was simple. Make the war so costly that the Concorde would fracture. Commander Choi Yuna led the ground assault on Velker Station, a military training facility. Her soldiers moved through the corridors like ghosts, neutralizing security teams before they could raise alarms. A young Valkyrie trainee cowered in a corner as Yuna approached. He could not have been more than the equivalent of 15 human years. "Please," he said in accented English. "Please do not kill me." Yuna looked at him for a long moment. She thought about the children who had died on New Bizon, the students on New Seoul, the babies who never got a chance to grow up. "We are not like you," she said finally. "We do not kill children. Leave. Tell your people what you saw here." She turned and walked away. Behind her, the training facility's power core overloaded and began to melt down. The young Valkyrie ran. Over the following months, the pattern repeated. Human forces struck, destroyed, and withdrew before the Concorde could respond. When Concorde reinforcements arrived at one location, humans had already moved to another. When the Concorde fortified key positions, humans simply bypassed them. Why do they not stand and fight? High Arbiter Velkin demanded during an emergency council session. "We outnumber them 10,000 to 1. A Nenthari admiral shook his massive head. "They do not need to fight us directly. They are destroying our ability to maintain order. Every day, more systems report infrastructure damage. Every day, more colonies lose access to supplies and communication. They are bleeding us slowly. Then we attack their bases. We cannot find their bases. Our scouts return empty-handed or do not return at all. Vulcan slammed his four fists against his throne. This is impossible. They are one species. One broken, nearly extinct species. How can they do this to us? The answer came from an unexpected source. Ambassador Yoon Hana, rescued from her prison by a strike team led by Captain Baek Do-hyun himself, broadcast a message to the entire Concord Council. "You want to know how we are doing this?" she said, her voice steady and cold. "I will tell you. For 5 years, you celebrated our deaths. You wrote books about how wise you were to destroy us. You taught your children that genocide was acceptable if the target was dangerous enough." She leaned forward. "But while you celebrated, we prepared. While you wrote your history books, we built weapons. While you taught your children lies, we trained ours to fight. You thought you understood humans because you studied us from a distance. You were wrong." Her eyes hardened. "Humans do not surrender. When you attacked us, you did not destroy our will to fight. You concentrated it. You took 300 million survivors and turned them into 300 million soldiers who have nothing left to lose. Every person you killed has a family member still alive, still fighting, still remembering." She held up a data chip. "This contains evidence of every genocide the Concord has committed in 6,000 years. 17 species erased from existence. Their crimes? The same as ours. Growing too fast. Adapting too well. Being too dangerous." She crushed the chip in her hand. "The information is already spreading across the galaxy. Every species in the Concord will see the truth. You are not peacekeepers. You are executioners. And the moment any species becomes inconvenient, they become targets." The response was immediate. 3 species formally withdrew from the Concord within a week. The Nenthri declared neutrality. The Kelvin Collective opened secret negotiations with humanity. 12 more species began sending quiet messages through Ji-hoon's intelligence networks. "We did not know," one message read. "We believed the Velthari's lies. We are sorry. How can we help?" General O read the messages, but did not reply immediately. "They are afraid," she told Admiral Jisoo. "They see what we are doing to the Velthari, and they want to make sure they are on the winning side. Can we trust them?" "No, but we can use them." General O pulled up a tactical display. "The Velthari are the heart of the Concord. If we destroy them, the rest will scatter. Some will be allies. Some will be enemies. Most will simply try to survive. And after the Velthari?" General O was quiet for a long moment. "After the Velthari, we make it clear that this must never happen again. To any species, ever." The war continued for another 2 years. Human forces grew bolder as more species defected from the Concord. Former enemy ships became allies. Former enemy bases became staging areas. The Velthari found themselves increasingly isolated, their ancient alliances crumbling like sand in water. But they refused to surrender. "We have maintained order for 6,000 years." Vulcan screamed at his remaining council. "We will not be defeated by animals." His generals tried to explain that the military situation was hopeless. Human technology had surpassed Concord technology in every measurable way. Human soldiers fought with a fury the Concord troops could not match. Human commanders seemed to anticipate every Concord strategy before it was implemented. Vulcan would not listen. "Then we used the final option," he said. "We destroy their hidden bases. All of them. At once." His generals exchanged nervous looks. The final option was a network of planet-destroying weapons that the Concord had hidden throughout the galaxy. They had never been used. They were supposed to be a last resort against some terrible external threat. Using them against humans would mean using them against the galaxy itself. Many of the hidden human bases were located in systems that also contained other species. High Arbiter, one general said carefully. If we use these weapons, we will kill billions of innocent beings. Nenthori, Kelvins, dozens of other species. The galaxy will turn against us completely. Velkon's forearms spread wide. Then let them. If the galaxy does not support us, the galaxy deserves what it gets. We will start over. We will rebuild. We have done it before. But before he could give the order, alarms filled the council chamber. High Arbiter, a communications officer shouted. Human vessels have been detected in orbit. They are requesting to speak with you. Velkon's silver face went pale. In orbit? How did they get past our defenses? Unknown, High Arbiter. Our sensors show over 200 ships, including 17 Dreadnought-class vessels. On the main screen, Admiral Jisoo's face appeared. She looked older than she had 5 years ago, hotter, but her voice was calm. High Arbiter Velkan, this is Admiral Park Jisoo of the United Human Military. Your defensive fleet has been neutralized. Your ground forces have been surrounded. Your planet-destroying weapons have been disabled by agents we placed in your facilities years ago. She paused. We are not here to negotiate. We are here to inform you of what happens next. You have 1 hour to surrender every individual involved in the decision to commit genocide against humanity. Every council member who voted yes. Every military officer who carried out the attacks. Every official who celebrated our deaths. Velkon's face twisted with rage. And if we refuse, then we will take them ourselves. And many more of your people will die in the process. Not because we want them to die, but because you will force us to fight through your defenses to reach the guilty. She leaned forward. Make no mistake, High Arbiter. We can destroy your entire civilization. We have the weapons. We have the will. Every person who survived the genocide would happily spend their life ensuring that the Velthari never threaten anyone again. Her voice softened slightly. But we choose not to, because we are not you. We did not come here for revenge. We came here for justice. Surrender the guilty, and your species survives. General O had given strict orders. Military targets only. No attacks on civilian areas. No bombardment of population centers. Humanity would not become the monsters that had tried to destroy them. But the Velthari military fought with desperate fury. They knew what waited for them if they surrendered. So they turned their cities into fortresses, placing weapons in hospitals and schools, daring the humans to attack. Commander Choi Yuna led her ground forces through streets filled with debris and smoke. Her soldiers moved carefully, identifying targets before firing, avoiding collateral damage whenever possible. Commander, Specialist Park Minji called out. Movement in that building. Looks like a nest of snipers. Yuna looked at the building through her scope. It was an apartment complex. She could see Velthari soldiers on the upper floors, but also civilians hiding in the lower apartments. Get me a communication channel to that building, she ordered. A minute later, she was speaking to the Velthari commander inside. This is Commander Choi Yuna of the United Human Military. You have 10 minutes to evacuate the civilians from your building. After that, we will be forced to neutralize your position. The Velthari commander laughed. Why would we evacuate civilians? They are our shield. If you attack, you kill innocents. You become no better than us. You misunderstand, Yuna said calmly. We are giving you a chance to let them live. If you refuse, their deaths are on your hands, not ours. We have tried to save them. History will remember that we tried. There was a long pause. 10 minutes, the commander said finally. The channel closed. 9 minutes later, civilians began streaming out of the building. The Velthari soldiers watched them go, their faces twisted with confusion. They had expected the humans to either attack blindly or retreat in frustration. Instead, the humans simply waited. When the last civilian was clear, the building exploded. UNA's demolition teams had used the 10 minutes to place charges on the structural supports. The Valkyrie soldiers never had a chance to fire a shot. "Move to the next objective," UNA ordered. "And find me another communication channel. Maybe their next commander will be smarter." The war lasted 3 more years after the fall of the Valkyrie homeworld. Some Valkyrie leaders surrendered. Others fled to remote systems and tried to rebuild their power. A few attempted to rally other species against humanity, claiming that the humans were worse than the Concord had ever been. Those arguments fell on deaf ears. The evidence of Concord crimes had spread too far. Every species in the galaxy knew the truth now. The Concord had been built on lies and maintained through fear. The Valkyrie had destroyed 17 species over 6,000 years. Humanity was simply the first to fight back. Admiral Jesu led the final campaign against the Valkyrie remnants. Her fleet hunted them across the galaxy, destroying their ships and capturing their leaders. "We accept your surrender," she told the last Valkyrie fleet commander, a young officer who had inherited command after his superiors fled. "What happens to us now?" the commander asked. "You will stand trial. Every officer who participated in attacks on human colonies will answer for their actions. Those found guilty will be sentenced according to the severity of their crimes. And our people? The civilians?" Jesu's expression softened slightly. "We are not you. Your civilians were not responsible for the decisions of your leaders. They will be allowed to live in peace, as long as they do not take up arms against us." The trials lasted 2 years. 847 individuals were found guilty of crimes against humanity. Military commanders who ordered bombardments, council members who voted for genocide, officials who coordinated the destruction of atmosphere processors, general refused to allow executions. "Death is too easy," she explained to those who demanded blood. They killed 11 billion people and expected to face no consequences. They expected to write history their way and be remembered as heroes. We will not give them the release of death. Instead, the guilty were exiled to a barren moon in a distant system. They were given supplies to survive: water recyclers, food synthesizers, shelter from the harsh environment, but no technology to escape. No communication with the outside universe. No hope of rescue. They would live out their lives knowing that the galaxy had moved on without them, that their empire was gone, that their names would be remembered not as heroes, but as criminals. Some called this mercy. Others called it cruelty. General called it justice. With the trials complete, the question of what came next hung over the galaxy. Like a storm cloud. Representatives from over 100 species gathered on Europa, which had become the unofficial capital of human space. They expected humanity to take the Concord's place, to become the new galactic government, to impose order as the Valkyrie had done for 6,000 years. General O addressed them in a chamber carved from ice, surrounded by holographic displays showing the faces of delegates from across the galaxy. "You expect us to lead you," she began. "You expect us to create a new Concord with humans at the top instead of Valkyrie. You expect us to make treaties and alliances and promises of protection." She shook her head. "We will not." Confused murmurs spread through the chamber. The Concord failed because it was built on a lie. General O continued. The lie that one species could be trusted to rule others. The lie that power would not corrupt. The lie that treaties could prevent tragedy if only everyone followed the rules. She stepped forward. We believed that lie. We came to the Concord with open hands, seeking friendship and partnership. We followed every rule. We made every required promise. And in return, they murdered 11 billion of our people because they decided we were too dangerous to live. Her voice hardened. Diplomacy did not protect us. Treaties did not protect us. Alliances did not protect us. Only our own strength protected us. Only the weapons we built in secret. Only the soldiers we trained in hidden bases. Only our refusal to surrender. She looked around the chamber. So we will not lead you. We will not protect you. We will not judge you. You are free to form whatever governments and alliances serve your interests. Make treaties. Build coalitions. Do whatever you believe is right. Her eyes grew cold. But understand this. Humanity will never again trust any treaty, any alliance, any promise. We stand alone. We will always stand alone. Not because we want isolation, but because we have learned that depending on others means risking extinction. She raised her fist. And if any species ever again threatens human existence for any reason, with any justification, there will be no warning, no negotiation, no mercy, only response. Immediate, overwhelming, and absolute. We will not wait to be attacked. We will not give speeches or send ambassadors. We will simply act. And when we act, civilizations will fall. She lowered her fist. We did not want this. We came to you seeking friendship. You answered with fire. So be it. Diplomacy between humanity and the galaxy ended the day you chose genocide. It will never resume. Not in my lifetime. Not in my children's lifetime. Not ever. She turned and walked out of the chamber, leaving 100 species in shocked silence. 100 years passed. Humanity rebuilt its 12 colonies. The population grew from 300 million survivors to 40 billion thriving citizens. Technology advanced far beyond any other species. Human ships were the fastest. Human weapons were the deadliest. Human soldiers were the most feared. But humanity did not expand, did not conquer, did not interfere with other species' affairs. They simply watched, waited. Remember historian Yu Hemin, great-granddaughter of a genocide survivor, published the definitive account of what came to be called the Concord War. Her book was translated into every known language and became required reading on thousands of worlds. In her conclusion, she wrote, "They called us monsters for what we did. Perhaps they were right. We destroyed the oldest civilization in the galaxy. We shattered alliances that had lasted millennia. We ended the age of diplomacy and began the age of consequence. But we did not choose to become monsters. They made that choice for us. When they decided to exterminate our species, they created the very thing they feared. Not the aggressive, dangerous humans they imagined, but something worse. Humans who no longer believed in the possibility of peace. Every species in the galaxy now knows the truth about humanity. We will pay any price, bear any burden, commit any act necessary to survive, not because we enjoy destruction, not because we seek power, but because we learned in fire and blood and the death of 11 billion innocents that the alternative is extinction. Some say we should forgive. Some say we should move on. Some say we should rejoin the galactic community and build new alliances. We remember what happened when we trusted the galactic community. We remember the celebrations when our worlds burned. We remember the speeches about humane extinction and necessary sacrifice. We remember. We always will. And we will never forget that diplomacy, in the end, protected no one. Only strength. Only readiness. Only the absolute certainty that any attack will be answered with overwhelming force. This is humanity's lesson to the galaxy. We did not want to teach it. We did not ask to become the species that other species fear. But we learned long ago that what we want does not matter. Only what we are willing to do matters. Only what we are willing to sacrifice. 11 billion people died so that 300 million could survive.